Hello and welcome to album pickups for June 2019. I'm actually going to have to start it off this month with something I forgot to mention last month. Now this obviously by the title is album pickups, so it's normally going to be, music albums you pick up in the physical digital form on an actual musical album. But sometimes I added in something extra, the musical that I've picked up. And I think a couple of months ago I brought up the, Baking Black? Rock and music inspired baking book. But a book I picked up last month was the Status Quo official 40th anniversary edition, sort of just doing it, basically like a picture book going throughout all the years. Now, I'd read this book a lot when I was like a teenager, because my dad actually had, and what I realise now as being 2 copies. Now, I thought he had 2, and I asked him if he'd send me one, and he thought he only had 1. So I actually was out and about, saw a copy of this going out, like I was just selling books, and got it from there, and now I have my own copy of it as well. Check out the front there. It goes all the way through, sort of Status Quo, from the very start, all the way through the albums. I think the most recent album they had on it was Party Ain't Over Yet, which was a couple of albums ago now. Well, let me just double check when that album came out. Luckily I have my book right here. So it goes all the way up to albums coming out in the year 2005. So a bit outdated by today's standards, just like 14 years old at this point, but really great read, especially if you're into Status Quo. Right. Now for the actual music. So I picked up 3 albums this month, and they are all some classic black metal albums. So I'm going to start off with a band that I picked up an album of last month, if you saw that one. I picked up my first album by Darkthrone, and I mentioned a couple of other albums of theirs I've listened to before, and one that I've been looking out for a little while, and that's what I was able to pick up, and that is A Blaze in the Northern Sky. Now this is their second ever album. I think their first album is called Soulside Journey, I believe. And yeah, that was like a death metal album, and then they heard, I think, some of the other bands around Norway, what they were starting to do. They seemed to sort of be influenced by that, and then it ended up forming Darkthrone, the black metal band which we know. And this is actually a part of a sort of trilogy that people love. They talk about this one, they talk about Under a Funeral Moon, and Transylvanian Hunger, but out of the 3 of those I've listened to, A Blaze in the Northern Sky is my favourite one. Some people have described it as sort of a Soulside Journey, the original album, being death metal with some minor hints of black metal in there, and this one being a black metal album with some minor hints of death metal in there, and I can certainly get behind black and death metal, and proper solid album, really like it. But these next 2 albums I've been looking for ages. I'm going to put off trying to pronounce this first one, because God knows how you do it, but it's by the band Burzum, or Burzum, another black metal band from Norway in the same time period. And in the previous album pickups, I picked up their first album, Burzum, and an EP, Asker, that had come out, and they were both on the same disc. But now I've been able to pick up, and that was album 1, and then like the EP they did. But I've been able to pick up albums 3 and 4. So we're going to start off with album 3, which is Vis List Ta Os. That's how I think it's meant to be pronounced. Now, a lot of the modern ones that are coming out now are coming in these sleeves. They're like the same as the first one. Like if I just quickly flash up the other one, something there. And for the original collection of these albums on the back here, you can put them together, and there's the R, and it should spell Burzum. Now, this, as far as I know, is the first album where he was sort of starting to properly experiment with minimalism. Now, this is the original album cover, and what these reissues have done is you get that sleeve that actually has Burzum on it and the album name, and then on these versions they've actually removed, who would have has logo up there and the album name down there. They've removed that from it. This is his first one where he was sort of experimenting a bit with minimalism, I believe, and I quite like it. I especially like the first track, which is Det Som En Gang Var, which is the same name as the second album, which I'm looking out for. It's really, really quite long. I think it's like 14 minutes or something. So I introduce keyboards, long, really like epically long sounding riffs and like motifs. Really quite nice stuff. But then we get to the last album I picked up, which is the more famous Burzum album, which is Filosofem, which I believe is just Norwegian for philosophy. And this is another one known for, well, basically it's known for the big 2 tracks on it, which is Dunkelheit in its German pronunciation, or just Burzum, Darkness. And of course we have Jesus Dodd, which is possibly my favourite song on this album. And yeah, if we pull the sleeves out, they're a bit tight in there, we get that classic album cover. And of course, was originally going to have logo up there and logo down there. So I picked up a nice trio of albums. So out of these 3, which would be my favourite, I think, simply for having Jesus Dodd, it's got to be Filosofem. Secondly, I think possibly Blaze in the Northern Sky. This one's much more of a fun album. It's not like as ultra serious as some of the other ones. Burzum's always a bit sort of heavy in the sense of, in the same way that something like The Godfather is a really heavy film to watch. It's not necessarily the most heaviest of all the metal, but it's very, very serious, very intense. Whereas something like Blaze in the Northern Sky is potentially more traditionally heavy, but isn't such like a serious album to listen to. Yeah, really nice load of pickups there. Glad to have some of those albums finally in my collection. And yeah, I will see you in the next video. I should hopefully be doing another album pickups video towards the end of the month, and then having another video sort of in between then. And until next time, if you enjoyed, please like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.